Hi, welcome back to Donegal Railway Heritage Centre. This week we're going to have a look at the other narrow gauge system in the county, the Londonderry and Lough Swilly Railway. This footage was taken by Canon Tom Doherty and supplied to us by Derry City Council. So sit back and enjoy a trip on the Londonderry Lough Swilly Railway.
The Londonderry and Lough Swilly Railway had its origins in a broad gauge line which opened in 1863 between the city of Derry and a pier on Lough Swilly at Farland Point. The line was extended to Buncrana in 1864. An Act of 1863 authorised the Letterkenny Railway to run over the Swilly's tracks from that town into Londonderry, though some 20 years elapsed before it was built. Opened in 1883, the Letterkenny line was built to the gauge of 3 foot and worked by the Swilly Company, which shortly afterwards converted its own line to the narrow gauge. Government money made available under the Railways Ireland Act of 1896 allowed the Swilly to expand its system. The Buncrana line was extended to Carndena in 1901, but it is the extension of the Letterkenny line to Burtonport which concerns us here. But with the extensions in mind, larger locos were obtained. Number 9, originally named Aberfoyle, was one of a pair of 462 tanks built by Kerr Stewart in 1904. The Swilly's big engine policy culminated in the engine we will see on the film, and in numbers 5 and 6, the only 484 tanks ever to run in these islands. These were built by Hudswell Clark in 1912. Our film for Lough Swilly was made by the Reverend Tom Doherty in 1939. We present this unique document in the form in which he made it. It features the highlights of a run from Letterkenny to Burtonport behind one of the Swilly's remarkable 480 tender engines, the only locomotives of this wheel arrangement ever to run on these islands. The Letterkenny and Burtonport Extension Railway was opened in 1903. It ran from Letterkenny for nearly 50 miles through some of the bleakest and poorest parts of Ireland to the tiny fishing village of Burtonport. It could never have been built without the £300,000 of government money sunk into it in an attempt to open up this remote and impoverished district. The Londonderry and Burtonport Extension was a separate company, though worked by the Swilly, and locos and rolling stock bought with public money to work the line carried the initials L and BER to distinguish them from the rest of the Swilly stock. The journey from Derry to Burtonport took over 5 hours. It was the great epic of the Irish narrow gauge. The first part of our journey was filmed in black and white. But suddenly, we are experiencing what we believe to be the first ever colour film made of an Irish railway. The Burtonport line closed in June 1940. The wartime shortages of oil for the replacement road vehicles led to the reopening of the section from Letterkenny to Gweedore in 1941. This section finally closed for good in January 1947. The Bedford lorry and the adjacent road, which will follow the train for most of the journey, is a sign that even in this most remote corner of Donegal, the narrow gauge railway had to face increasing competition from road transport. In this barren rocky landscape, the line climbed to pass through the mountains at a spot known as Barnes Gap. Having crossed over the road, we get a first glimpse of the Owen Carrow Viaduct, 380 yards long, the most impressive feat of civil engineering on the whole of the Irish narrow gauge. On the night of January the 30th, 1925, gales howling in from the Atlantic and funnelled by the valley down to the viaduct blew 2 carriages of a passenger train onto the rocky embankment which formed part of the structure, resulting in the deaths of 4 passengers. The strange, flat-topped Muckish mountain looms over the bleak landscape. Our friend in the Bedford lorry puts in another appearance. At Creeshlough, some of the locals pose for the camera as the engine takes water. Trains on the extension were mixed, and shunting at intermediate stations could play havoc with the timetable. It is interesting to see County Donegal Railway wagons on a Swilly train, as the 2 lines had different buffer heights and brake fittings, and their wagon stocks were mostly incompatible. Many of the stations in the Burtonport line, like Dunfanaghy Road, were miles from the villages they were supposed to serve. At the stop for water at Crawley, we get some further glimpses of the 480 number 12. One of a pair built in 1905 by Hudswell Clark, sister loco number 11 had been withdrawn in 1933, worn out by years of hard work on the Burton Boat line. These engines weighed nearly 59 tonnes and had flangeless leading drivers to help them get round sharp curves. Their tenders could carry 1,500 gallons of water and 4 tonnes of coal. Kincastle and Dunglow were the last 2 stations on the line before Burton Port, and both were miles from the villages in their titles. And so we arrive at Burton Port. Number 12 lasted until the end of Lough Swilly rail services in 1953. It had little work to do following the closure of this line in 1947. It is a great shame that this magnificent machine was cut up. If it had lingered for a few more years, it would surely have been a worthy candidate for preservation.
Hope you enjoyed that trip down memory lane on the Londonderry and Lough Swilly Railway. So as always, don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.